My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So this podcast brings you people from around the world, whether entrepreneurs or not, doing remarkable things with their life, to share with you their story, their journey, and their experience. Today I have with me Christopher Calaycay. So please, Christopher, please tell the world, who are you, what do you believe in, what's your story, and what difference are you making in the world?
My goodness. Well, who am I? First of all, I'm rather humble about who I am because if your podcast is about entrepreneurship, I think as an entrepreneur you have lots to learn. So you always have to be humble. In the beginning, it tends to be that you're a little bit aggressive about things, and then you start to find out you don't know too much. So I've learned to be a little bit humble about things, but at the same time, to be very passionate. So who am I? Well, I am overall an investor. I like to invest in different things, and I actually started doing that about age 18. I had parents that were employed, and my dad is a doctor. He started his own practice. My mom pretty much did finances for his business, but my mom also invested in real estate. And having a mom that's in charge of finances, investing, she tends to be a little bit overbearing and try to do everything for you. But parents had me late in life, and so I realized I needed to get out and do something for myself because at some point, my parents wouldn't be there anymore, and I needed to start doing things for myself. So I've had a pretty roller coaster life. It's been pretty interesting. I started out investing in real estate. I don't even know what year that was, but it's probably 96, 97. Started investing in real estate. Really didn't know what I was doing, but I met a man who introduced me to tax lien certificates and tax sales. In California, we actually only have tax sales, but in other states they have tax lien certificates. I don't want to get into that, but it's a long explanation of what those are. But over that process, it was interesting because we had to drive around, look at different properties, and I learned quite a bit about that. I also learned about investing in stocks and became a commodities specialist for a period of time. And I still do invest in those things, although right now I think the economy is kind of scary because people are using credit to do their business or to even just make regular everyday purchases or even to finance their college or things like that. So the amount of credit out there is very dangerous. So at this time of being an entrepreneur, I'd like to warn a lot of the other entrepreneurs to kind of be a lot more observant about what you're doing and more observant of your environment, to be a little bit more careful. Don't be so quick to finance your projects. If you can find, not like on credit through the banking system, because I don't think the banking system is very solvent. What other things do I do? I've recently gotten into technology. I'm a Generation Xer, so as Generation X, there was a time when we would do things manually, and then there was this transition period where things started to become more technologically advanced. So when I was younger, I loved music, and I went into the music industry, and I was actually a recording engineer for a while. And about 2001, we had the terrorist attacks in New York, and we had that Napster coming out, where Napster was actually stealing, in our opinions, a lot of private property or intellectual property. The things you make, you record and you perform. Those things were being provided for free on the internet, and you had BitTorrents and things where people could download things. And at that time, I didn't understand any of that stuff. I had learned how to record on a real tape machine and all this Pro Tools stuff that were coming out relatively new. And after the terrorist attacks, the music industry really took a dive because people kind of stopped buying things. And there were more going on the internet. Downloading. At a time where the music industry went through some of that turmoil, and I went through some personal turmoil myself, so I started to learn a little bit more about technology. It was slow going, really slow going, because I felt like I was behind the curve on that. But as an entrepreneur, my advice to people is that you don't always know what you don't know all the information you're going to need to do your business from go, and sometimes that can be scary for many entrepreneurs. Now is a time when we're going to need entrepreneurs the most, because I feel that the economy is not so strong and that it's based on credit. And when the economy resets or when it crashes, that's the most important time for entrepreneurs to come out, because we need people who are going to be innovative, who are going to find better ways of doing things, who are going to find ways to rebuild what we've lost. And that's going to be the most important time. And you're not going to have all the information you need at the beginning in order to do what you want. But what you need most is a passion for what you do. Adrian discovered me on Steemit, I believe. Is that correct, Adrian? Yeah, and on Steemit, I discovered Steemit. Steemit's pretty interesting. I like to go on social media. It's one of the things I discovered as I was learning more about technology and more about what had really happened to the music industry. Social media really changed the music industry, because the music industry used to be just people going to the stores to buy their music. And what social media really was Napster in the beginning. It allowed you to go peer-to-peer, meaning you go to somebody else to get whatever it is you need, and it really saves you money as a consumer, and it cuts out the abusive practices of the businesses a lot of times. So a lot of the businesses they'll develop like a monopoly over their product, and they know that there's no competition for their certain product, and they'll just raise prices on consumers to the point where it's ridiculous. Like, I remember going to Tower Records. I don't know if you remember Tower Records, but Tower Records was a store, it was a chain store where you could go and listen to music. They had like listening stations there, and they pretty much had anything and everything you want. It's one of my favorite stores. And then you could buy the albums. But the issue was with the albums. A lot of record labels would put an average of 10 songs on a CD at the time, and maybe there were only 2 good songs on there. The rest were just garbage. So paying, $12 to $20 for a CD for only 2 songs. You're really paying that much for 2 songs, and it was really quite ridiculous. And and that's probably what caused the downfall of Tower Records, which really wasn't their fault. They were just a distributor for these record labels. And but the record labels kind of destroyed their own business in that regard. And you would see the birth of these independent labels, where a lot of the artists were getting upset at the record labels for putting out only 2 of their good songs, and they would go start their own independent labels or join independent labels, and they would make albums that were phenomenal. And now, with the internet, through Napster and through other things, Napster's not really that much around anymore, but you could now share individual songs where you eliminate the entire album altogether, and you just share the songs you like. And it's kind of ancient history for a lot of people now. Some people don't even know it because they've been born after it, but it was very interesting to see the technological changes that happened. And leading up to Steemit, like I mentioned, is I myself very political. I politics. I don't like to get into politics myself. A lot of people have asked me to run for political positions, but I think it's so dirty. It's a dirty place. You got a lot of ugly people that they're just in it for themselves, and they'll do whatever they can to destroy you. But with Steemit, I found a platform where I could share information to other people about, say, the economy or entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship's not really one of my focuses, but, since we're on the topic, I think it is very important regarding the economy. And I like politics, to share political posts, and I started doing that on Facebook. But what Facebook does is they basically get all your information, and they advertisers, and then they make money off of the advertising revenue, and you don't really get a cut of any of that. You're basically giving away all your information and your content and your ideas for free for Facebook to make Mark Zuckerberg a billionaire. And it's not really his fault. It's actually a genius platform. But to me, I preferred something where I could get paid for my own content generation, and that's something that Steemit provides. And to me, when you're providing information, that to me is the most important thing. When you say how am I affecting the world, I believe that you really affect the world by sharing information, and each one teach one is kind of my philosophy. And and I have a way of thinking where if you go into a place, you really should leave it better than when you found it. And to me, I was born in this country, that's the United States of America. And I was born in the Reagan era, where my parents were doing very well at that time. And then gradually I saw the economy and the business. I mean, a lot of people have been making a lot of money in technology because it's new, but like the old economy has really been dying, like manufacturing, mining, things that, industrial things that we used to make, and now we really don't make them anymore. Now it's just more like technology. Everything's like in a cyber world, which gets really dangerous from what I've studied overall in economics and investing. Time over time, I've looked at different countries where currencies have gone to zero in terms of value. People starve to death because they outsource where their food comes from. They don't manufacture or grow anything in their own country. And when their money becomes worthless and you're trying to buy things outside of your country, it makes it impossible to feed yourself. So, I don't want to be a doom and gloom guy, but I think the reality of it is we grow really fast on credit, because it is you're borrowing money that you don't have at this time. And typically, in order to have money, you have to earn it. And a lot of people haven't earned it. They go out, banks are predatory. They want to give you money. They want you in debt because then they can enslave you. And if you get into debt and you can't pay it back, then the banks will constantly hound you, or they'll seize your property. And that, to me, property rights is the foundation for entrepreneurship. If you don't own anything, there's no incentive to create anything. If you don't own yourself, if you don't own your car, if you don't own your house, if you don't own the fruit of your labor, and the government steals everything from you, everything pretty much falls apart. And we're seeing that in other countries like Venezuela. We see it in North Korea right now. We're having a lot of problems with North Korea, but North Korea plows all their money into military, and they're starving. All they have is military. They have one of the top militaries in the world, and they're this tiny little country. So, and it's all dependent on the people and how they think. So to me, spreading ideas like that and helping people realize what's going on in the world is vital, is important into maintaining our standard of living, our free, the country. A lot of people who say they're progressive really don't do things to help society progress. They do things to kind of hurt business. So a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. I voted for him, and hopefully that doesn't destroy what you think of me, because I saw him as a businessman, and we had mostly politicians that knew how to steal money from everybody, but they don't really know how to grow business and know how to provide a climate for business to grow. And I felt that he would be great to have in that position where he could actually make some changes. Now, do I see some of those changes happening? It's slow going. It's tough because he's surrounded by politicians again. And the politicians just get their money from contributions and from other big businesses that become monopolies. And they use the politicians to kind of make it difficult for smaller entrepreneurs to start their businesses. So to me, by sharing my ideas and finding a way to monetize them on Steemit, I feel that I'm able to change the world by changing other people's thinking. And in turn, by teaching other people, it helps me to learn what I don't know as well and to solidify my understanding. So does that kind of cover your first couple questions?
Yes. Yeah. With regards to the idea of leaving ideas and sharing knowledge, definitely, because we all benefit by sharing ideas. We all learn new things, crisscrossing and arguing against ourselves and learning new things, cutting to the truth by finding
Absolutely.
what's wrong with your own argument and what you're missing, what you don't know, things like that.
Absolutely.
And with regards to voting for Donald, no, I'm all right with that. Originally, from day one, I liked Rand Paul. But
I love Rand Paul.
Yeah, his campaign didn't really go anywhere, and I think he dropped out in February of 2016, so, these things happen. And then after that it was Donald, because didn't know much about Ted Cruz, There's another one that is very robotic. The small guy, I forgot his name. Anyway, so Ted Cruz, no, not really. Donald, because...
Are you talking about Kasich? John Kasich? Is that what you're talking about?
No, small, thin guy. I forgot his name, but it's all right, no worries. So Ted Cruz was the second choice, but I didn't know anything about him or anyone else. So it was like Donald here, then Ted over here. But Donald, because I've been following him before, read a few of his books. I know of him way before the election, June 2015 when he decided to run. So it was like that was it. And I was thinking of putting a bet on him, but I didn't in the end. And I think, damn, I lost out right there. And very similar with the Brexit vote here in the UK. Damn, I voted for that, but I didn't put a bet on it. And it's like, damn, lost out. So that's all right. Now I like the business side. But at the same time, I don't like everything. Expanding the military and keeping it 0 interest rates, and there seems to be some things with Obamacare, but I don't fully understand what that is or what's going on there. Healthcare, I don't understand that. A one-payer system, but is that similar to NHS in the UK? I'm not too sure, but I don't. Yeah, I've heard it's just blue blood Republicans that seem to be the dilemma and the obstacle there. Yeah, you said that politics is dirty earlier. Can you elaborate on that at all, please?
Politics is very dirty. I mean, I actually have a brother who is involved in politics. He's run for a number of different positions within the state of California, and he's been a mayor twice, city councilman. I believe he's got a record 4th term for the city that I'm in, and he's done pretty well politically. We tried to run for a larger political office, and that really demonstrated to me how dirty politics can get, because they began publishing lies about my brother, and people don't really know the candidates very well, and they don't bother to do their research. So a lot of the enemy candidates know, and the slick politicians that are professional at it, they know they can just fling dirt at people, and the other people watching will just believe it. And so that's why politics has always felt dirty to me. I mean, even in the music industry, I felt politics. My brother tells me politics is in everything, and he's absolutely right. There is politics in everything. However, to certain differing degrees, it's less to me in the business world than it is in, in the thieves there. So. They're looking for money, they're looking for recognition, they're looking for power. So those kinds of people are very dangerous. They're the kinds that will, fortunately, I don't believe we've had that here yet, but they'll kill you. Other countries, family, my dad's side of the family, Filipino, and even within families, my grandfather was a governor in the Philippines. There's another one that was running for the same position. And they really, because they loved the family so much, they had to agree that whoever won had to separate from the rest of the family so that there wouldn't be a feud. But in many other families, when one family member wins, the rest of the family that was running against them gets murdered. So politics is very, very dirty. But fortunately, it's starting to get dirtier here in the EU. We're get like the rest of the world to have very civilized politics where they would just talk dirty to each other. But now it's getting to the point where, they're really starting to smear each other's careers. So, yeah, politics is on in every level. You have to do it at work. If you rub the wrong person the wrong way at work, you could lose your job or get demoted or put somewhere where you're insignificant. But again, when you're in the actual realm of politics, it's very, very dirty. It's hard for voters if you're not really involved in it. Most people, and I was one of them when I was younger, I didn't really care for politics. I didn't care to know anything about it. I didn't care to learn anything about it. But then I started to see laws changing and policies being implemented that were making it much more difficult for me as an entrepreneur, as a parent, and as somebody that, I had ambition, and your ambition tends to get beaten up quite a bit when you encounter certain things. Like, for instance, here in California, we have Democrats running the state, and they believe that the government should regulate everything that you do. And so as a business owner, it makes it very difficult for you to start a business because you have to pay huge fees for for permitting just to start your business and licensure and compliance with the regulations, it's really disgusting. I have a friend who owns a telecommunications business, and he had to, for government compliance, he had to enroll in a water purification course for compliance, and he doesn't even do, it's not even part of his business. It's ridiculous. It cost him a significant sum of money and time, which he could have devoted to his business. So politics is even dirtier, that now it's starting to get intertwined with business and interfere with it. So this is another reason why I believe the economy is very dangerous. It's worldwide because we have globalists that don't care about countries. They don't care about borders. They want borders turned down, and this is why they assist with illegal immigration. They assist with attacking countries so that their people have to become refugees and then are flown to different countries where they just flood the populations there and dilute the original populations there, and then all the laws are changed to benefit the new immigrants, and it has no regard for the citizens anymore. So it makes business very difficult, and I believe that it's because of the big conglomerate banks and big corporations that they want it that way. They don't want small people starting businesses that can potentially compete with them. They want everyone to be slaves. They want everyone to be uneducated. They want everyone to fight against each other so that they'll never, ever be able to rise against them in any way. And so in a way, politics has now blown every way of our lives. And if you don't care about politics, you better start caring, because you may not have the freedom to care in the future anymore, because they'll get into your businesses. And if we look into past history, any country that had that kind of setup, I mean, one of the main ones that comes to mind to everybody is fascist Germany, where Hitler took control and became partners with a lot of the businesses there. A lot of the businesses many of us know, like Hugo Boss, Mercedes-Benz, Farben was now, I think it's Bayer, is a pharmaceuticals company. All of those businesses started with Hitler. And, they're pretty well known now, but, back then they were associated with fascism. And fascism is not a good place to live. No more freedom, no more real property rights unless you are able to rub elbows with the politicians. And in that case, you're forced to be a politician yourself in order to succeed. And to me, fascism is no different than communism. It's where you have the government controlling everything. And that's never good, especially when you have a large country. You know what local needs are. And the guy sitting in government hundreds of thousands of miles away from you doesn't necessarily know what you need. So you'll always have some kind of a shortage from what you need, or prices will rise. It's never good for the consumer, ever. Freedom is the best thing. And you can only have freedom if you're willing to dedicate the time to educate other people and to educate yourself and to pay attention to the politicians and make sure they're held accountable, no matter what the country. And Brexit, to me, was part of that. France had a chance to do that, but I think that the banks learned a lesson from Brexit, and they were able to interfere with the elections there in order to get Macron in there and to get Le Pen out. So, and yes, the bankers are the ones who help the politicians because they hold the purse strings on your financing. Anytime you need money, where do you go? The bank. So who the bank is, whether it's mom or dad, or it's a venture capitalist, or it's an actual bank where you have to get your money. And right now it's the actual banks that are worldwide, and they're just extending credit to everything and bleeding it and trying to get control of everything by giving money, so everyone's addicted to the artificial money. And that's why we're seeing a lot of rise in cryptocurrencies, which to me is something new. It's another technological model shift that I'm seeing in the world today, almost like when I was in the music industry. It's really fascinating to live in the times to see all these technological shifts. It's even better when you can get in on those bets. So like you said, you missed out on some of those bets. I missed out on a few myself. I mean, when I was a commodity specialist, I saw Bitcoin at like 30 cents a Bitcoin. Boy, am I regretting I didn't buy one then. I was like, oh, this is going to die because I was watching it crash. And now Bitcoin is like $4,400. of Bitcoin. Unbelievable, this stuff. And I believe it's an opportunity to escape the government bank-controlled money. But we have to be careful because we really have to learn a lot about this technology, because the government and the banks can really get into it before we all learn about it and take control of that too. And then we're just transferring from a paper system to a digital system where you no longer have cash in your pocket. It's all on computer. And if you piss off the government, they just flip a switch and you can't do business anymore. So it's very, very interesting times, but very dangerous times.
Yeah, a lot to talk about right there. Wow, yeah, a lot of stuff. So definitely dirty, yeah. It seems to be that when the politicians are being smeared, or the media is smearing them, or vice versa, or whatever, it seems to be that there needs to be an informed public, an aware and informed public, so as to filter through the crap that's been broadcast online on the world, and come to their own conclusions, to their own ideas, and learn their own lessons, as opposed to being spoon-fed to them. And I've heard that it's quite. I heard that that is not very that kind of like that ideology what I just talked about is not very prevalent in the States. It's the opposite. People are very dependent on the media, or very taken on face value, and I don't think that's a good sign of a healthy nation or economy or people or culture or things like that, or society. And you mentioned with regards to, like, you alluded to the banks and all the rest, breaking down the barriers. And people, divide and conquer, essentially, you alluded to that. Definitely, I used to believe that politics was, well, in Europe, we tend to view politics as left or right wing, where here's government, and here's different parties, different people to run it, and they're all more or less the same, except they believe in different things. Low tax,
yes.
High tax, things like that. There's no real sense of libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism, or how much government should we have in Europe. 100%, which is communism, fascism and all the rest, and 0% government, jungle or anarchy or anarcho-capitalism, or 50%, which is republicanism, or a constitution with defined restrictions on government. There's no sense of that
Correct.
here in the UK, and that's a bit of a disappointment. And I realise now that it's a little bit beyond that, where it's individualism versus collectivism. Collectivism in all its forms, whether it's religious, dogmatic, or whether it's political in all its forms, or individualism. And I think one way that is epitomised is in cryptocurrencies, in Bitcoin, because I was talking to a mate of mine, and we're doing something with the cryptocurrency right now. We're starting up we call it the Amazon of Bitcoin, where we're going to start that, and with a few other things tweaking in there to make it more palatable and more unique. So, this morning I described Bitcoin as freedom and truth modified, because I remember a few years ago that Bitcoin was $197, and this is in late 2014. I remember, and even, back then I thought that's way too much. And
yes.
I thought it can't go any higher, surely not, or something like that. And but a year ago I heard it's 18th of August today, and about a year ago it was £500, $500 per Bitcoin. And I remember in March of this year it was like $995, and then
yes.
Now it's like at 4,800 and at 4,400. And I didn't think we would get to 3,000 until October, until the end of the year. But I was proven wrong about that, and I was thinking that we'd get 10,000 by 2019, and I would be surprised if a year from now, 12 months from now, even date of broadcast, it'll be at 10,000 very easily. So that's why I'm thinking, as of lately, even you might. What are your thoughts on this? Just investing, just £10, $10, $100, whatever, a week in Bitcoin, just buying it. Because if we know, we're so confident it's going to go up and up and up and up and up, 10,000 by 12 months from now, there's nothing wrong with just buying $10 today, or $50, or one Bitcoin a week, something like that, today. Because if we know the capital gains are going to go up and up, and especially as we haven't mined all the Bitcoins yet, we especially know it's going to go up and up. So I'm just thoughts on that. Just buying small Satoshis a week, or
Okay, the first thing I want to say before I get into that is I am an investor, but I am not an investment advisor. So whatever you decide to do, you have no claim against me. You decide to do it for yourself. If you want to follow what I do, that's entirely up to you. But now, with that disclaimer, now speaking of libertarianism, I actually subscribe quite a bit to the von Mises economic theory, and what I'm seeing right now is what they call the crack-up boom. The crack-up boom is the end-all of this crazy credit environment. You get a lot of malinvestment when you have credit, something they call malinvestment, because when you earn money and you work hard for it, you're more choosy about how you spend it. But if you can easily get it from somebody else, you'll spend it on less vital things or less important things. You'll be more, as they say, frivolous. So when you earn money, you're frugal. When you borrow it, you tend to be frivolous. And because we are in such a record credit bubble right now, people have been absolutely nutty. And like the price changes you've been seeing in Bitcoin, that's actually indicator of this crack-up boom, what I believe to be the crack-up boom. We're seeing it in all assets worldwide. You're seeing it in real estate. You're seeing it in education. You're seeing it in cars, in food prices, and all the prices of everything. I believe it's Mike Maloney. Mike Maloney has coined the phrase, the everything bubble. And that is very much in alignment with the crack-up boom, or blow-off top, as some other investment sites like to call it. So you're seeing that money just going anywhere and everywhere. People are not even really analyzing what they're putting it in. They see the market going up, and they kind of go, I don't want to go into it, but then it just starts jumping. They go, ooh, I don't want to miss out, and then they just start throwing money into it, and the thing just goes ballistic like Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was going up like $100 here, and now it's like going up $1,000 here. I mean, these are very, very, very scary times to invest. And again, this brings me back to the beginning. Like I said, as an entrepreneur, be very, very careful how you choose to start your business, which goes the same as an investor. Be very, very careful how you choose to deploy your money. We are seeing record amounts of people going into gold and silver again because of the wealthy money is scared. They're actually frightened by these kinds of things, the historical money. And a lot of the newer people who've made their wealth pretty quickly because of the credit booms are not afraid of this. They see it as an opportunity to make money. And it may be an opportunity to make money, which is great. You can get in and the markets can go, up, 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 up. But when it goes like this, how long is it going to go like this? When are you going to get in? Are you going to get in here and it's going to go up here and then drop tremendously? Markets take the escalator up and the elevator down, is the saying. So you got to be very careful. Are you really willing to take that risk to get in here and think that it's going to crack up boom forever? When I hear people saying it's going to go up forever, I'm very, very, very cautious. And the Federal Reserve chairwoman, Janet Yellen, basically said, the economy's fine. We're not going to see a crisis again in our lifetimes. Whose lifetime? Hers? Is she going to die tomorrow? Because I think we're going to see one pretty soon. So the Federal Reserve's not always right about things, and typically they'll lie to you so that they'll get you into it. Now, the Fed has a lot of bad assets. I'm not really going to get into investing because the reality of it is a dangerous time. And at this point, to me, the best investments or the best insurance against these kinds of times are gold and silver. However, the United States has created assets that are artificial, and they kind of alter the supply of gold and silver artificially, and they're able to suppress the prices of those things to the point where we're starting to see shortages of gold and silver in the United States for two reasons. One, they've been able to keep the price of them so low that if you're a producer, a miner of gold and silver, there's no economic reason for you to mine gold or silver because you're just going to lose money, right? The cost of mining it is way more than you'll ever be able to sell it for. So if you have any stockpiles of gold and silver, you're going to sell it for whatever you can get for it now. And right now the price is cheap, so as a buyer, as a consumer, you're going to want it. Now, Americans, like we were talking about, are very uneducated. It's sad and scary how uneducated Americans have been. We never got financial education in school. a lot of your education, you have to have your own drive and incentive to go out and start your own business, because you don't really learn that in school unless you specifically seek that out. I mean, I went to a business school, and they didn't really teach me how to start a business. Entrepreneurship is not really taught in school here. They teach you, business topics and stuff like marketing and things like that, but they don't teach you what it takes to be an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur is something unique. It can help, I believe. Everybody has an opportunity to be, or has the skills deep within to be an entrepreneur, but a lot of that, you have to really learn it, and it's difficult times when you can learn it, but if it's really difficult times like I see we're having now, and you start your business now and the markets crash and you're wiped out financially, that could be the end of your life, because then you have no money for food, you have no money for housing, and everybody else is bankrupt. The businesses are going out of business, so you can't make money. Now, I don't want to scare people, but this is a reality you might have to face, because we've been having like roaring 20s times. We're kind of repeating history. And at the end of the roaring 20s is when you got Hitler. And we're starting to see right now a lot of political unrest worldwide. It's like they're setting up for the next dictator to come in, which is very scary, because they're trying to dissolve borders around the countries and make us one united world. And if you get a united global dictator, holy mackerel, where can you go? You can't escape. There's nowhere you can to escape that dictatorship. And so people need to be very careful. You need to dedicate yourself to teaching as well, because you'll learn a lot as an entrepreneur teaching. But at the same time, I believe it's Thomas Jefferson that says you got to educate the population to secure the blessings of liberty. And you must always be vigilant, always be awake to make sure that liberty is not being infringed upon. So this is why I'm focusing a lot of my energy on things like Steemit and Facebook. Even though I don't get paid on Facebook or on YouTube, YouTube especially is cutting out voices like you and me to try to prevent people from learning the truth about what's going on. You've got the media, really, the mainstream media corporations. There are like 5 of them here in the U.S. that run all the stations and basically spit the same garbage to everybody to brainwash them. And they're even changing Google's definition of what fascism is. Look, Hitler's party was the Nazi party. The Z in Nazi stands for socialist. Okay? That's leftist. And Google is now redefining what fascism is to be right. That's absolutely false. When you're talking the beginning of anarchy and republicanism and then these leftist thinking, they're trying to bring the oppressive definition this way to try to make republicanism look bad. I'm a Republican, and they're trying to make republicanism look bad, but to me, that is the best form of government. All other forms are collectivist, and I hate to say it, even anarchy is collectivist, because a lot of people don't like to hear that, but to me, anarchy is no different than democracy, because really when you have anarchy, you think you're being individual, but you may be individual. Other people may not be. Their idea of individuality may be to join groups, things that are going on. And if you are against the tribe will defeat you in an anarchy. So that's basically democracy. It's mob rule. The best government is republicanism, where set law with set rules, and it limits the government power, and it limits the power of any group that tries to go against you. It's the best thing if you want to be an individual and minority, republicanism is the best way to do it, because then you have sheriff and police that will defend you by enforcing the law so that no large group can attack you. In an anarchy, you don't have that. You don't have anyone to defend you unless you're able to join someone else. I'm all for, individualism, and I see the anarchy guys, and they're on my side, really. I don't want to poo-poo that, but really think about what anarchy truly is. It's democracy. It's populist rule, and that's what they've been trying to do in the U.S. in terms of politics. That's why I'm saying politics is dirty. They've been bringing illegal immigrants to vote, and they're not even citizens. They're bringing in refugees to vote. They're not citizens. And this is why a lot of the leftists here like to downplay what Donald Trump is saying when he wants to check for voter fraud. They're like, you won. Why would you check for voter fraud? That's not the point. if you remember when Hillary Clinton when the campaign was just the election was almost over, they kept saying Hillary got the popular vote because Democrats believe in democracy, mob rule, and they always want the popular vote, the most number of people, and they believe had that. But we have something called the Electoral College, which prevents a large group of people deciding the presidency over a minority. Again, our Republicans protect the minority. So you had the largest populations in California and New York because they're liberal states, they're leftist states where you have Democrats running both states. And you had the largest populations vote for Hillary. And of course, she did get the popular vote in those regards. But were they legal votes? These are sanctuary cities in our state, here in California, where they're bringing in illegal immigrants, protecting them from law enforcement, deporting them, and they're letting them vote illegally. So there's voter fraud, and Donald Trump is very good at trying to find that. And the leftists are doing everything they can propaganda-wise to make him look stupid. I believe they're doing that worldwide. That's why you're seeing bleeding of race and immigrants all over the place. It's a very, very tough situation. So investing is very difficult because politics controls even the markets now, so that you don't really know where you're going to go anymore. There's no real way to look at things anymore. They've changed accounting rules. The Fed's even changing a lot of their metrics, where the Federal Reserve is changing their metrics, where it's hard to tell what are they going to do now. They're getting rid of their generally accepted accounting principles and using different models. So very, very dangerous times. Really, really, really. That's why I want people to understand. It's ugly. Politics is ugly. Business can be scary, but authoritarian dictatorship is even scarier. So you really got to spend the time, dedicate the time to educate yourself. Then you'll know where to invest. You'll know how to start a business. And you may not know it all in the beginning, but as you go out and do it, even though there's scary stuff, just be fearless and passionate for what you do. You'll learn a tremendous amount and be able to make a huge difference. And I firmly believe that I'm able to do that through those media platforms.
Yeah, a lot of stuff you say there. And so Crack of Boom, I'm going to look into that. Crack of Boom. And
Crack up.
Crack up.
Yeah, crack up, boom. Yeah, because that's what it's doing. It's doing this, and all of a sudden, crack.
Right. I get you.
It blows off the top.
I get you. So I'm going to look into that, or blow off top. Interesting concepts. Going to look into them. The popular vote argument in the States. Well, that's not how it works. My argument was it's not how it works over there. It's like having a car race, like a NASCAR race, and one car can do 100 miles per hour, another one at top speed, another one can do 80 miles per hour top speed, but that doesn't matter. It's who finishes the crossing line first. And the 80 miles per hour did cross the finishing line first because maybe this one wasn't going as fast as he could have gone. Maybe he was in second gear rather than fifth gear, for example. So revs were too high on all the rest. But it doesn't matter. It's who finishes the crossing line first, and that's the winner. That's how the game is played. Similar with the Electoral College. It doesn't matter how many votes you truly get. It's how many... How many of the electorates cast their vote for you based on... I don't fully understand it, but that's how it works. And strange how years ago, all the elections, there was no complaint about how it worked before. The popular vote versus the Electoral College. There was no big double standard. There was no real debate about it back then. And with regards to socialism in Nazism, yeah, I remember a documentary years ago saying that Adolf, what he used to do was... He used to give speeches to the capitalists, decrying the communists, and vice versa to the capitalists, to the communists about the capitalists. So he was playing both sides against one another. And I remember that documentary years ago. And then both of them thought, he's on our side against our opposite. So he's with us. So he got them on their side.
Yeah, you're kind of seeing that. You're kind of seeing that today too. This is the confusion because Hitler was a leftist, and communists are leftists. But they're not the same kind of leftists. They don't like each other, and that's why we're the thing that happened in Charlotte. The neo-Nazis. Everyone's claiming that they're Republican Trump, but no, neo-Nazis are nationalist leftists. That's why they like Trump, because Trump is talking about nationalism. Trump is not a leftist. He's a Republican. He's a conservative. He's on the issues. They are left. They're socialists, but they're nationalists. They believe in America first. They just don't want anyone else in America but the white people, right? Trump is not doing that. Trump is following the laws of the nation. And a lot of people are claiming he's racist because of the Islamic ban. But really, the Islamic ban was a carryover from the Obama administration. And so we're seeing this confusion. They have the Antifa that's leftist also. And then you have the Nazis that are leftist. So it's kind of the same thing. For Hitler was against, you would talk crap about the communists to the capitalists and vice versa to pit them against each other. And then there's people like me that are communists. And we understand what's going on, but it's very, very difficult to explain it to everybody else because they're so firmly opinionated on their political view that we're just stuck in the middle. And it's craziness. I mean, I saw this in documentaries of Venezuela, how Venezuela went under and Chavez took over. He pitted everyone against each other, and the capitalists all along were crying, oh, he's destroying us, but nobody listened. And they became a communist state, and now look at them. They're done. They're bankrupt. The people are starving to death, and the military is driving over them in tanks. You get, what's another one? Cuba. You know, Cuba was a wealthy society. And then the communists came in with Fidel Castro. And, you know, people love the communist stuff because it's so inspiring. They can come in with such charisma. You know, Hitler was even like that. You get a charismatic leader that can talk well, and people will follow them to their death, even if they're leading them over a cliff. They love the show so much that they're not willing to separate themselves from the fantasy and get back into reality and go, you know, these guys are dangerous for me and my family. They're just so excited that everybody's following, and they follow. Very, very, very dangerous times. So about the Electoral College. How the Electoral College works is you get a pro rata share of votes based on the amount of people in your state. That's basically how it is. I mean, they give you an electorate that votes for a representative that votes for your state. So like in California, let's say California has 10 people. I'm just going to simplify. It's not actually how it works, but it's just, you say you have 10 people in California, you'll get one vote. And then in a state like Missouri, they have one person, they get one vote also, just to keep it even so that California doesn't decide for Missouri or states where they don't have many people living in the state. It evens the playing field, and it's actually a lot more fair, and a lot of people don't understand how it works, but to me it's awesome how our founding fathers in this country really thought about all those and were able to come to agreement and lay out the foundations, which are slowly being ripped apart by people who don't understand them.
Yeah, but Christopher, as we wrap up this podcast, what are you working on now and what's next for you?
Well, like I said, I'm trying to build the STEAMA thing because, and actually trying to build like a media thing again. I mean, I was in the music industry. I stepped away from it for a while, and I'm liking the platforms that I'm seeing this political fight going on, and it's actually fascinating to me. And I'm seeing what they're terming the alt-right or the alternative media rising. A lot of people who were at one time unknown world, and they just simply went on video or TV or whatever and just said something, you know, off the cuff, and all of a sudden got 1 million followers. That's fascinating to me. Very fascinating to me. And I like to educate people, so I'm starting to focus a lot of my efforts on this because I really don't see any other place that's really worth my investing in. You know, like I said, I used to do real estate, but at this point, real estate valuations worldwide they're insane. Coming from me, I'll tell you, it's insane. It's insanity. People don't make enough money to be able to afford a house in cash. It's the truth, and I'm seeing it worldwide. You're seeing people in China standing in line for houses. So real estate's done. Stock market is doing craziness. It's all a result of the crack-up boom. To me, the best place is technology. Got the governments and the banks trying to use technology against us. This is the final battle, and to me, it's also the final place where we can actually monetize things we do as hobbies. That's fascinating. And what could you love more? What could you be more passionate about than things that you love to do as a hobby? There's no stress about it. There's no pressure, and there's no investment. It costs me anything to go on Steam it. If I want to invest, I can go buy a microphone. I can go buy a computer. I do that stuff. I don't need to do that. I got a cell phone, too. I can do it with my cell phone. So it gives you the ultimate in freedom of decision. I mean, yeah, ultimately I want to be more professional in my presentation, but you know, to me it's a fascinating new realm. So, why not?
Yeah, and as we wrap up, what is the best way for the audience to get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Steemit. You can go to www.steemit.com/@Cryptopher. Cryptopher. So it's like Christopher, but with the crypt in front instead. And then I'm also on Facebook at facebook.com/The Magnificent, all one word. The Magnificent. My screen name will pop up as my real name. Well, actually, it's Christopher Calaycay, but my real name is Christopher Calaycay. And you can find me also on YouTube as Christopher or Christopher Calaycay as well. You don't need to know how to spell my last name until you go on Facebook. You'll find it just by The Magnificent. And really, I don't have any other websites or anything else like that, because like I said, I'm starting to focus on this stuff. So I'm doing work on the side so I can finance it without going to the bank. Little by little, I intend to make it a little more professional, and I intend to post more on Steemit.
Yeah, great. So thanks a lot for coming on the show, Christopher. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And, you know, like I said, if you want to share it on my page, more than welcome.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen at home, if you're watching this on YouTube, click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. And if you're watching this on Steemit, give me an upvote and give me a follow. Because either platform, there is plenty more content to come, plenty more podcasts and plenty more videos. Because this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So go out there today and do something remarkable. How cool is that?